Voices against corruption. Let the people speak.
Hello and welcome to Primorg's public feedback series on corruption, called Voices Against Corruption. And we ask, how does corruption affect due process in the public sector?
When you talk about how corruption affects due process, first thing that comes to mind is governance, and the words of J.K. Rowling, who said that a leader is one who knows the way, shows the way, and leads the way. When we look at our country, our beloved country, Nigeria, we will know that while we are where we are today, it's because of corruption. Our leaders, sure, they know the way, but a fundamental question which we must answer is, do they lead the way and do they show the way? A case where our leaders are more important to themselves than to those that they are leading.
Corruption nowadays, you go to public sector, it has affected people because most people who are entitled for certain things are being denied because they don't check quality, they don't check about effectiveness. You understand me? They don't check about effectiveness. Someone who is qualified for a particular position because of corruption, because there's somebody somewhere at the top, just say because somebody who is not qualified will be recommended because he has somebody. That's part of corruption. It's affecting us. That's why we are having quacks in different sectors.
Imagine a situation whereby somebody who is not a medical doctor will be Minister of Health. What do you think that will happen? Because of the fact, because the person that's given that position is his own father or his own mother or his own party member. They don't go for experts. That's why we are having problems. And that is corruption, the peak of it. And remember, I said that this is a place where psychophant people and mediocre people reign. And that's the cause of it.
When you look at from the other side, maybe like the construction aspect, you see sometimes before the file will move from one office to another for the contractor to be paid. It takes time. You have to pay them. You have to do some PR. You have to give some people money. And without you giving the money, they'll frustrate you. They'll frustrate the effort. So that is one of the reasons why I said the mentality of the people is already corrupt in this country. So if we can change our mentality and we do things the right way, I think there is no way corruption will affect our country.
What we have nowadays is that the people are just using their power to do whatever they like, all in the name because they are the one in the position. They don't want to follow, they don't want to know who and who is qualified. Because this person is my people, whether they are qualified or not qualified, they just put them there.
Because of corruption, standards are being cut down for some people to get what they shouldn't get, and that is where we see even cars having accidents here and there. What are the VIOs doing? They are not checking properly in the government circles. Least qualified people are heading qualified people. So these are some of the ways corruption affects. It affects every fabric of the country.
Because people tend not to follow procedures. They don't want to follow the right channel. We want to go outside the confines of the process and the system. We tend to beat or work against the procedures as it's been laid down in offices and in public sectors, and that is reducing our integrity as a nation and even as a people.
Public sector cannot function in any way, shape or form when the resources allocated to provide services for the people are being channeled to individual pockets. So it's not going to work. It's not going to work at all. It's a moral problem. It's not even like an issue, a political problem. It's a moral problem, which is to do with individuals.
Corruption, as you have said, affects due process. It's a lower statement, you understand, because it passed to that level. In fact, nowadays in our country, corruption has become the way of life. Corruption has become the way of doing things in our offices, our places of living. In fact, corruption has reached to the level that it reaches in our religious practices, whether you are Christian or Muslims.
Is one of the ways is that it doesn't really mix the person or the people to function, to work in a very concise, in a very good way. One, it makes them to think, even if they are doing the right thing, it is not going to give them what they are expected, because the due processes are not being followed. Where someone's appointment is supposed to be, promotion supposed to come, it will not be given to him because of corruption, because he is not connected to anybody in that very organization. He's been denied some of the accesses. So in any way, any small chance he gets that he can maneuver some things, he has to do because he feels that is the way out of all he can do.
Whilst due process is not followed in acquisition of property or an award of contract, automatically the government revenue that is meant to execute a particular project will not be enough to handle such project. In a long way, it's going to affect me, it's going to affect the general public, because the exact money budgeted for that particular project is not what is being expended. Much more money is being expended on that particular project. It's automatically going to affect the due process.
Look at what is happening in the case of IG having to be retired. You understand? And our president now said that he's giving him a 3 months to stay more. If it's not corruption, when this man is getting to due of retirement, they're supposed to be preparing who is going to succeed him or something like that. You understand? But for him to say we should give him 3 months for him to stay again, that is corruption. So what are we shouting? Corruption, corruption. And many of us that is shouting that corruption, we are corrupt.
You don't give anything naturally, meritoriously, without demanding for a kickback. Okay, how can a due process be followed?
They affect due process in our public sector because the capable hands will not be given the opportunity to do the right thing. Corruption is in Nigeria particularly, is systematic and endemic. And one can say it affects due process in our country because funds that are allocated to meet a particular needs of people will not be executed rightly. Secondly, like I said earlier, those that have the capable hands will not be given the opportunity to do the right thing.
Primark's public feedback on corruption in Nigeria is produced with support from MacArthur Foundation.